Happy 2025 and welcome back to part 3 of the 36-foot aluminium sailboat build. In this episode I will continue to work on the lead molds for the keel ballast. Hopefully after this episode we should have at least one lump of lead that I can use for something. I will also go through stages 5 to 7 of the cost tracking of the actual build itself. And 5 to 7 is rudder and center side arms coming in at a 5, and number 6 is rudder spherical rod ends, and number 7 is rudder link arms. So just an idea of what those parts are and how much I paid for having them made. So yeah, let's take a look. I ended up getting another clay that wasn't so dried out, and with that I have now added the top layer. So I think the idea is now to just put a little bit of release agent on, the mineral oil, and then fill it up with some fine plaster. We'll see how that comes out. 5 liters and 25 centiliters of water to mix in with 7.5 kilos of plaster to get the right ratio. Put some mineral oil all over the actual item itself, as well as on the clay around it. Then start mixing the plaster. So I want to whisk for 4 minutes. So that is the consistency after 4 minutes of mixing. Still very liquidy. So I have moved out to the back porch just in case there's a leak, and this will go everywhere, so hopefully not, fingers crossed. So I've obviously miscalculated the volume needed because I have plenty of plaster left. So I will need to take that into consideration going forward. Some gentle knocking should hopefully force air bubbles up to the top instead of clinging on to the actual item itself. So I think I'll leave this now for a couple of days, and hopefully it should settle and we should have the first side of the mold. You're gonna help me turn the mold? "30 hours in of drying, and it's still a little bit damp and cold, so I think that it still needs probably another day, maybe even 2. But it's definitely safe enough for me to turn it around and take the clay out, so I can help it to dry a bit quicker from the inside. So all I need to do now is just to dig out this old dry clay all the way down to the actual pot I am casting. With the clay removed, we now have space for some more plaster to go in for the upper part. I didn't put any keys in on this because the surface was so uneven anyway, so it's a natural key. We'll see if that theory works. If not, I will have to start putting keys in on the other molds that I create. So I'm going to leave this for a couple of days now to dry out properly, then put some more release agent on and top it up with some more plaster, and then leave for another few days. And then I should be able to take these apart and take the dummy part out. Before I cast the other half, I've put some cone-shaped spouts One to fill the lead in when I actually make the lead casting, and the other two is for heat and anything else to have somewhere to go when I start pouring the lead in, because I don't want it to come back up in my face. So it's all experimental, so let's see how that goes. Some more mineral oil as a release agent, and now ready for plaster. Now just wait a couple of days and hopefully I should be able to separate the two, get rid of the clay and have a mold ready for lead casting. So it's now dry enough, so I'm going to remove the clamps and see how it looks. You can see the half line here. The top half is still a bit soft, so I'm going to leave it to dry for another couple of days, and then I'll probably put a screwdriver in and start to tap to separate the two. The second mold cracked when I got the actual item out, so I am going to try to glue it back together with some PVA, which should work on plaster. See how that goes. That should be good enough for casting, but there must be a simpler way of doing this because it's way too time consuming and I have a lot of these to do, so I will probably have to rethink this, but I'll cast this one and see how it comes out. Setting up a space for casting some lead. For this first casting we have some lead weights that I have made out of car batteries. We also have some lead from roofing, and we have some old dive weights. So let's see if we can make one ingot of all of that. As we are dealing with lead fumes, which are extremely toxic, I think they even have the ability to change your DNA, so you pass it on to future generations. I have ordered a half mask from the face mask store. Sam, who works there or owns Face Mask Store, has been extremely helpful and guided me through exactly what I need. And I got a 3M half face mask, as well as a couple of different filters. And this filter is for gases, basically, so lead fumes, etc. There is two different ones here. One masks nasty smells, and the other one is just a straightforward one. So I will be using for this one the one where I can smell as much as possible, because if I smell something that smells weird, that probably means that it's time to change my filter. But I'll probably give both of them a go to see how it works. Sam kindly gave me a discount code, which is Modular Hippo 10, which means that if anyone orders from his website, they get a 10% discount. We haven't set up a kickback so that I get any commission from this as of yet, but as a disclaimer, in the future we might have something that will generate a small percentage kickback to Modular Hippo. It's not in place, but it could be, just to let you know. What I also will be using are these heavy duty welding gloves, because I have a feeling that it will be a little bit hot, so just to make sure I don't burn myself. I have been putting this off for a few days because of the -degrees outside. The contrast between the hot lead and the -degrees potentially will crack the mold even further. But I guess I will learn from the process, so I'm going to crack on and see how it goes. Good start. I wonder if someone trying to tell me something. This gas adjuster knob came off and is broken. but I guess we can do that with a some other tool. After 4 melting cycles, I now have enough lead in here to be able to let it cool down, and then we'll open it up and see what we got. Not good. So it's definitely a lump of lead, but it's not good enough because I stopped pouring the lead too early. You can see the spout marks here. So it looked from the side that the spouts had started to fill up, which indicated to me that it was time to stop. But if you look at the shape here, you can see that there is at least another corner here of missing lead. So I should have poured more lead, but that's a little bit late now. Also, it looks a little bit odd in shape in terms of the angles and everything. So I don't know if the mold itself was a bit funny. So I am not going to use this one. I'm going to recast it, and I'm probably going to try a different type of casting. So, but at least I learned a lot from this attempt. So that's a bit disappointing. A lot of time and effort for nothing really. But in the spirit of Edison, I'm going to go with the line of I haven't failed. I've just learned how not to make lead ballast this time. So we'll try again. If anyone has any better ideas how to do this, feel free to drop a comment. It's appreciated. Thank you. Stage number 5 was these rudder center and side arms. So these are 2 halves where little ears have been welded onto the sides, and they are clamped together. There's a key steel in the middle here, and here is the actual arm itself. And this arm is then, this sits on the rudder, on the tiller stock. And when you move the tiller stock, it will then push these arms, and it will then move your rudders in the same direction. So it was 1 left and 1 right and 1 center arm together with all the bolts and nuts and everything. So it was a bit of milling and laser cutting and welding, where I had to pull in on external help. So that came to £267.80, and that is $319.71. And I had to buy a couple of drill bits and other things that came to around $20 and around £1868. So total with material, which was $168.20, it came to $454.68 Great British pounds, and a total of $539.66 US. I forgot to mention that in stage 5 it also included the actual key steels themselves, so the manufacturing of those. When I put them on, I will be using a lot of 𝐃𝐨𝐽 to make sure there's no water penetration, because this is steel going into aluminium. So I will also have a 6 monthly checkup on these to make sure that there is no rust. Stage number 6 was to source 4 of these spherical rod ends. So these are the rod ends that sit to the rudder links arm, which was my stage number 7. So it was literally just finding where to buy these, and also the bolts and the knots that comes with it. And that came to a total of 156.74 Great British pounds, and total US dollars 177.28. So there was no external labor cost attached to those, just the material itself, or the parts. Stage 7 was the link arms, and those are the metal arms you can see here. There were a couple of nuts and bolts here as well, and a little bit of external help with the lathing and making the threads. What's interesting with these parts is that you have a left and a right hand thread. So when you want to adjust the angle of the rudders, when you are calibrating that, if you twist it one way, it will widen the gap, and if you twist it another way, it will then close the gap. So it makes it really easy to configure and adjust the angles of the rudders. Those parts came to 79.91 Great British pounds and 94.52 US dollars. And that is with a little bit of milling and lathing, which came to £30 or 36.52 in US dollars. And the material itself was 49.91, which was the 316 stainless steel rod, which is around $58. So it's pretty much the same conclusion as I've had on the other stages. If you have the machinery up front and the skills, then you could save yourself some funds. For stage 5 to 7, I could actually have cut 46% of the total cost by having my own laser cutting and own welding and lathing and so on. Total cost on stages 5 to 7 was 691.33 pence in Great British pounds and 811.46 in dollars. And of that, material only was 374.85, which is 432.25. So that is literally 44% of the actual final cost is material. The other 46% is the external tooling and external skills that I had to pull in to get this done. So obviously if you have those skills and toolings yourself, you would literally just pay for the material. For anyone interested in a full breakdown of costs and parts, I will leave a link to the Modular Hippo Kiribati blog page in the description below. On this page you will find all completed and ongoing stages of the build, together with links to the related blog posts, showing a full itemized cost breakdown divided into material cost, external labor, and tools and miscellaneous. Thank you for watching the third episode and sticking with me to the end. If you haven't seen this channel before, feel free to subscribe. If you have any questions, stick them in the comments and I will respond within 24 hours. If you want to see some additional episodes, then you should have an episode in the top left corner and another episode of the motor build that I'm doing at the same time in parallel in the top right corner. See you next time. Thank you.